Beats Planet.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. We ain't gonna mess up today. We ain't gonna mess up today. Nah. We ain't gonna hold on, wait, time out. Let me go to boom. Cause wait till I set my soundboard up, cause I'm gonna be able to do this quick when I set my soundboard up. We ain't wait, no, that's the wrong one. Wait, that's the wrong one. Wait. All right, we messing up. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But listen, we're gonna talk some NFL today. And we normally don't get a chance to talk a whole bunch of NFL. Okay, that's why it didn't play. All right, cool. My bad. I was talking shit. My bad. There you go. There it is. There it is. All right. We don't normally get a lot of chances to talk NFL, by the way. And for those of you wondering, I do have my water here, but I got lemon in that joint. So after this, we're gonna go work out. Try to get in shape, smoke Big Game James and all that good stuff. But thank y'all for being here on this Saturday morning. We got a lot of stuff to do today. Voch, why is this live stream so early? Because I try to do stuff on Saturdays, but shit be happening on Saturdays. So we got battle rap today, and we got UFC fights today. So I wanted to get one in early. And let me just rep my natchez one time. You know what I'm saying? Coach Evans ain't seen this shirt in years. But let me just rep my natchez one time. But we do have a guest today. We got Lieutenant Dan in the building. I hope he's done eating his tacos because we on the. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. We good. Okay, cool. We good to go. Okay, we straight. We good. We good, man. We live. What's good? What's good, brother Lieutenant? Everything. What's up?
Everything's everything, man. Everything's everything. Just one step at a time. Like to everybody that's listening right now, to everybody that's watching right now, just everything is one step at a time, right? Like it's all we can do, right? In this thing that we're doing right now, in the world that we're living right now, it's okay to take everything slow and steady and do it right the first time instead of making a mistake trying to rush things.
Me and Dan was we was having friend talk outside of this like professional thing. This ain't even professional. This the show that we was doing. We was having friend talk, and we was just talking about being grateful. So hey man, if you just out in the world and you think shit bad, bro, like look at your two legs and if they working. You know, even if you ain't got two legs, if your arms work to roll your chair, even if you ain't got arms, if your heart beating and lungs work, be grateful, man. Find something to be grateful for in life. But we're going to talk football today, Lieutenant Dan, not Cowboys. But even if Cowboy people tuned in, we just got some general NFL talk that they can listen to. And y'all know we drop flames regardless of what we're doing. If y'all want to follow Lieutenant Dan, he's over at Unintentional Grounding on YouTube. And you would know that because on my new setup, I put the shit up under the frame. It's right there. My shit backwards. Damn. It's right there. So you'll be able to see that. Lieutenant Dan, a lot of stuff has been happening in the NFL since I haven't been talking NFL. I've been flooding the streets with this Cowboy content. But we're going to talk a little bit about Pat Mahomes today. Not too crazy. We're going to talk a little bit about Cam Newton. I really want to get in that topic. Football with COVID, and we never got into draft talk. And I really want to know what your AJ Terrell thoughts are, since you're also a Clemson guy. So let's start with Pat, since we're not going to relax. So let's start with Pat Mahomes, since we're not going to be there too long. I've made my thoughts kind of clear. What you think about this 10-year deal for $500 million? $500 million.
$500 million, man.
I'll tell you.
$500 million, man. Can I just get like 5K of that? Can I get 5 Gs? Would Pat Mahomes be okay if he gave me like 5 Gs? Would he be down with that?
I don't need
anyway, Pat Mahomes, man, getting $500 million, bro. Let me just be straightforward, man. You're going to start seeing more of these baseball-style contracts. I mean, the guaranteed money only runs for 3 to 4 years permanently. You can go to overthecat.com, or you can go look at Spot Rack if you want to go there, Sport Rack, whatever it's called. And you can go actually look at the contract details, and it really only hashes out for about 3-4 years. You're looking at 3 or 4 years of the contract actually being guaranteed Pat Mahomes, and then they are going to probably renegotiate this contract 3 or 4 years down the road. I mean, most of it is percentage based on what he has to accomplish every single time he goes out on the field. So I'm pretty sure this is not going to be a very long-term oriented contract. Yeah, they got him locked down for 10 years, but it's negotiated. If he doesn't show that he can stay healthy, if he doesn't show that he can help them repeat a Super Bowl success in the next 3 to 4 years, then there's really not a lot of guaranteed money and they can just walk away from it. So it's actually quite team friendly if you actually look at the contract itself. He doesn't even really get even half of what he's most likely asking for or what he's received. So I don't think much of this Pat Mahomes contract, but I do think that this is the norm. Sure. This is the norm that we will see going forward, baseball style contracts where you see 10, 15-year contracts being laid out for a player. And really they're only committing to that contract for 3, 4, maybe not even 5 years, and then probably get traded off to another team. So that's kind of where it's at now.
I think a lot of it was like agent posturing. I think that this contract is just a who got the biggest stick competition, because just like you said, this thing ain't gonna last 10 years. And it got to be a lot of language in that thing to be 10 years or whatever. But hey, y'all, we got a half $1 billion from the Chiefs. Who gonna hate? But we had to be locked into this 10-year contract. But I bet you $5 to a donut that thing ain't going to go for 10 years. Because if it's ever a situation, and this is why quarterbacks don't sign long-term deals, whatever. If it's ever a situation where next man up is making 70 and Pat's locked in at 50, Pat going to walk in and be like, hey, player, we need to do something. We need to restructure. We need to fix it. We need to work on it. And if Pat plans on being a Chief long-term anyway, then it don't matter. It don't matter. Because that's a marriage that ain't going nowhere unless Pat get hurt or develop a hell of a coke habit, right? That marriage ain't going nowhere. Pat, you just don't get rid of quarterbacks like Pat. So if that marriage ain't going nowhere, then they might as well do. This is what I think it is, man. I think it's a contract that's composed of multiple 1-year deals.
It's a baseball contract. It is literally how you treat pitchers and great batters. Is how you walk through a year. If they're good, go on to the next year.
Sure.
If it's good, then go on to the next year. If things even start to hiccup slightly,
sure,
you can go, all right, who wants Pat Mahomes?
Yep.
And there's already a contract laid out for you to delve out and work on.
Yeah.
So it's not impossible to go, Pat Mahomes is probably only guaranteed to be with the Chiefs for the next 5 years. And how old is Pat Mahomes?
18, 19 years old.
So he's a green pea. Yeah. So you can take that green pea if you want to, and you can give it off to another team, and another team can go, okay, well, we'll work with Pat Mahomes because we know that he works well. And Chiefs can then go on to somebody else. This is reminiscent of, and this is how this all started, of Nick Foles. Nick Foles getting traded off by the Eagles to another team, and then he comes back to the Eagles, and he wins the Super Bowl, and then he gets let go or traded off again, and the Jags pick him up, and he does nothing there. This is similar to what potentially could happen to Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes stays successful, he's a Chief for life. If he goes up and down, depending on what's going on with the team, they'll let him go, and he'll be on with another team. I would hate to see Pat Mahomes in Philly. Or say Pat Mahomes in Steelers land in Pittsburgh, sure. But it could happen. It could definitely happen if the price is right.
Yeah, but I don't think the Chiefs let that happen. But this is the most pivotal question. Lieutenant Dan, let me ask you this question: would you rather have Matt Ryan or Pat Mahomes on coke after an ACL injury? Which one? I just asked you a question. I just asked you one simple and plain ass question. If Pat Mahomes had knock on wood, because we don't want that to happen, but if he got an ACL injury and the Chiefs got a little worried and he developed a coke habit and got into recovering, I'm not looking at your face. I'm not laughing at you. I promise I'm not laughing at your face. But if that happened to Pat Mahomes and he developed a coke habit and he developed like a gambling addiction and like he got into like a beach brawl.
If we're at that level, then no. If we're at that level, then no. But if we just keep it as the coke and the knee injury,
that can
go. I'll take Pat Mahomes.
That can go.
I'll take Pat Mahomes.
That can leave. Pack your things right now. That's how I feel about young Pat, bro. And I love Dak Prescott. I've been on this crusade to talk my little shit about Dak Prescott for a while now. But Pat Mahomes, after ACL injury, after having COVID for 2 weeks and heals up and a coke habit. Please, this ain't even conversation, player. This ain't even conversation.
You'd have him in Atlanta in less than a day. Less than a day.
Because this how I'm phony.
However fast that Arthur Blank could get his plane, his private jet to Pat Mahomes, wherever that airport may be.
Cause look, Dan, this how I'm phony. Cause like Dak could tear his ACL and be on coke. I'll be like, man, he ain't good no more. He tore the ACL up, he'll never be right again. Boy, I don't want no junkie on my team, da. But let Pat do it. I'm gonna start saying some phony shit like, hey man, modern medicine clean that knee right up, man. Don't worry about it, man. You know, back in the day, if you tore your ACL, they just cut your whole leg off. They can tie that thing right up. They can put some duct tape on that thing, you're good to go. That's how phony
would you actually, if a quarterback was so talented with his arm,
sure,
so cerebral in his actions,
Pat different,
but he was missing like a foot or like a leg, would you still play him? If he could go on the field and he could hobble around, but he's still making every throw like it's nothing, would you have a one-legged quarterback?
And I don't have Dak Prescott?
And you don't have Dak Prescott.
If
the one-legged quarterback's name is not Dak and Prescott in those order.
So the kid came out of South Texas and his name is Matt Mahomes, and he got Matt Mahomes got 1 foot, but he does everything that Pat Mahomes does.
Yeah. His name is Ryan Mahomes. Yeah, and he's got 1 leg. Sure, but he spits it. He's got a cannon for an arm. He can hobble back and make his step back. He's never leading off the wrong foot because he's only got 1.
Damn.
And he's hitting every throw. We've
been doing this draft thing for a minute. When I seen Shaquem Griffin catch an interception, I like him. Give me that guy. give me that guy. Shaquem Griffin with 1 hand catching interceptions and pass rushing and tackling and shit with 1 hand. Give me Shaquem. Yeah, so sure, I would take Matt Mahomes. I would absolutely take him and all that. 100%.
Chat. I don't know how many people we have from all the 32 teams currently right now, but just give me your thoughts on that in the chat. Would you take a one-legged quarterback that can make all the throws?
With some Cowboys in this chat.
Definitely want to hear it.
It's Cowboys and some Giants and Eagles fans probably, but that's just come with the territory. Let's move on though. Talk about Brother Cam. Brother Cam signed for the he signed to the New England Patriots for like $22. $22 a truck and some rent being paid or whatever. So the Patriots got over again. They got him incredibly cheap. And you're a Falcons fan, so I really want to see your thoughts on Brother Cam Newton, and I hope it's objective, neutral, and down the middle. But Cam Newton to the Patriots, sir, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily that he doesn't have talent or that he.
Damn, why you had to start the shit like that, man?
I'm gonna start it like this. It's just it's not that he doesn't have the talent. It's not that he doesn't have the ability to play the game. It's not even that he can't stay healthy, because he does have injuries, but when he's healthy, he's out there and he performs at a pretty high level. But I guess if you kind of look at Carolina's situation, and I know Carolina Pimp will probably come at me and be like, you don't know anything about Carolina, so stop talking about my team. Yeah. Y'all's team was toxic. Ron Rivera there was toxic with Cam Newton there, with Josh Norman there, with the whole crew there in Carolina. That was a toxic situation, and they weren't going to make that any better with that group still there.
Toxic how? What they do? Toxic how?
I don't know if it was Cam making life hard for Ron, or if Ron didn't have the support of the group as a whole, or if the players themselves and the owner just don't see eye to eye. But that team was not organized the way that it did its Super Bowl run against Denver. And although they lost that game, I still got to say that they could have made multiple Super Bowl runs with Cam Newton. But I guess everything just has an expiration date. And Carolina and Cam Newton's expiration date came up. What he can do in New England, though, stop talking about Carolina for a second. What he can do in New England, though, is make accurate passes.
Go ahead.
Get onto the field and cause competition. between the quarterbacks that they already have, who are none of them are blowing anybody out of the water. Cam Newton's probably the front runner. I mean, really, we're talking about Stidham. Like that's what we're talking about here. I know there's a lot of New England Patriots fans that are out there that are like, Stidham's going to be my guy, but I think that Cam Newton can revitalize his career in New England if he conforms to the Belichick way, and this is going to be the telltale sign of whether or not it was Brady or if it was Belichick. Not trying to lead into that discussion, but if Belichick can make Cam Newton look, decent with the talent that he already has, then the New England Patriots are going to be an 11-5 team, and they're going to go back to the playoffs again. But if they can't, then we're all going to look at Tom and be like, so what have you been doing down there in Tampa? Because if Tom's actually killing it in Tampa, then might have been a nice marriage.
What do you think about these Patriots fans that do think that there's going to be competition between Cam and Jarrett Stidham? Because I think everybody else in the league considers Bill Belichick a genius, and I think you're doing a disservice to the notion that he's a genius if you really think that there's going to be a competition between Cam and Jarrett Stidham.
I think that New England Patriots fans are so confident about how Belichick can turn anything around.
They don't deserve it.
That they thought that Tom was going to be out years ago, and that Mr. Jimmy G was going to be in there throwing things around and getting them Super Bowls like it was nothing. And that marriage between Tom Brady and Bill Belichick is a special marriage. I can already tell that from, just stepping back and trying to be neutral about it. Sure. But taking the entire thing into perspective, there's no way that Jarrett Stidham was going to be the guy that was just going to take the job. Like that's just New England Patriots fans, I think, just trying to be like, oh, everything's going to be okay, trying to calm themselves down that Belichick's just going to put Stidham in, and it's going to be like nothing, it changed at all. Yeah. So with Cam Newton coming in there, I think that really does heighten the whole. There's actually a real quarterback with real NFL time, a guy that has made the throws and made the plays and gone to a Super Bowl, albeit lost that Super Bowl. That can help New England be able to win the division. And so, but I will say this, and I'm not trying to trash Cam Newton, but if Vic Beasley can stop you from getting first downs and make you make bad decisions and, throw interceptions to Deion Jones,
Dan, come on, man.
Then I'm worried, concerned that Bill Belichick might have a guy that's going to repeat those same mistakes. Not trying to say that Cam Newton is bad. I'm just trying to say that he has that mark on him, and only Bill Belichick can calm him down and keep him contained, because if not, then Cam's going to make some of the same mistakes that he made in the past with Carolina that made people question whether or not he was a top 10, top 15 quarterback. I mean, if I'm wrong, please, by all means, tell me. But I look at Cam Newton from Carolina and see that those situations and those problems can be repeated in New England if Cam decides that he's just going to start winging it.
Do you think Cam right now is better than 41-year-old Tom Brady?
I think Cam Newton is not the student of the game that Tom Brady is.
Sure. But
athletically, I think he's okay.
Sure.
But
there were points where we would see Tom Brady last year and the Cowboys played him. So I was watching where Tom would try to make a little 30-yard throw and that thing start wobbling at 15 or so. You know what I mean? Like just physically. Do you think that, because honestly, as a Falcons fan, you should be aware that Tampa Bay ain't gonna be as high flying as they were last year with Jameis. They're probably gonna throw a lot less interceptions, but they're not gonna make be as vertical as they once were. So I'm asking, New England wasn't a very vertical offense last year. Do you think Cam can bring some verticality to that offense along with his footworks?
I think that the way that they have that offense currently set up there in New England means that it's basically on Cam to make it work. Because I can't even tell you right now who the receivers currently are for New England. It's not because I have a lack of knowledge. It's because there's literally nobody there.
I'll tell you. It's N'Keal Harry from Arizona State. You know who N'Keal Harry. You do draft work. You got 32-year-old Edelman. I think he's older than that, maybe. Relax. You know who Julian Edelman is. You do the draft stuff. And Mohamed Sanu. You were supposed to. Damn.
Does that look like wild?
Because if Tom Brady, the guy that can put it where it needs to be, was putting it right in the chest of Mohamed Sanu, and the guy and another quarterback and Matt Ryan was putting it right in the chest of Mohamed Sanu, and both quarterbacks were seeing Mohamed Sanu have the ball bounce off his chest in his hands and get intercepted, then I'm not necessarily sure that is a blessing for Cam Newton, who already has some inaccurate passes that he throws and forces balls into locations that get picked off.
I was supposed to say Mohamed Sanu. You were supposed to say who, and I was supposed to be like, Dan, he just left the Falcons and shit. Like, And
I know Mohamed Sanu is a baller and a gamer, because not only in Cincinnati, but also in Atlanta and in quite a few spots in New England, Mohamed Sanu has been that chain mover that you're looking for.
Sure.
So what they will have to do, just based off of the guys that you just told me, is that Mohamed Sanu is going to have to move the chains. Edelman's going to have to be the sneaky threat that somehow gets into the middle of the field and catches some of these passes that Cam can dart in there. And N'Keal Harry's going to have to stretch the field. How do you feel about N'Keal Harry stretching the field?
Y'all do y'all ex-Falcons bad, boy. I don't.
Is it a lie? Did you watch the Patriots last year with Mohamed Sanu? Because I did, and I saw the same stuff that was happening to in Atlanta.
I'm
where
draft
he
guy.
Was dropping balls.
We were talking about N'Keal Harry. We were talking about N'Keal Harry. I'm draft guy, and I don't call people bust until like 3 years in. So I still think there's time for young N'Keal Harry to grow a little bit. I didn't consider him a first round pick when he was coming out. But I still think he got a little bit of time to grow and develop. Now, he wasn't really vertical guy in college. He was a slower footed, bigger bodied guy. You know what I mean? So Cam's not gonna get vertical with N'Keal unless it's gonna be some jump ball. But to be fair though, if I could be fair for a minute, once upon a time, like, the Panthers had all 6'5" receivers, and they wasn't the best, but they got vertical. They just did. They wasn't getting separation.
They outmuscled.
Yeah.
This is exactly the same thing that's happening in Tampa right now, where they have a bunch of very physical, tall, wide receivers, to which a guy like a Tom Brady is very accurate in short spaces to be able to hit those wide receivers in only a place that his guys can get it and move the chains. And it doesn't have to be an incredibly vertical offense. And that's what they were doing in New England. And I know that Bruce Arians looked at that tape, and he's most likely going to utilize that to his advantage. But in New England, it's the opposite problem now that they do have a guy that can sling the ball down there, 60 yards, 70 yards. But you don't have the receivers to be able to do it. If N'Keal Harry is going to continue to be the college player that he was, then he's no better than Mohamed Sanu as a chain mover. So then the only guy that you have to turn to is Julian Edelman. Is Julian Edelman going to high point balls at 60 yards down there? Is he going to be able to create that separation at his age? Because it wasn't that he looked like he was losing a step out there in New England last year, but there were definitely times where the Julian Edelman that I knew that was being compared to Wes Welker of the greats did not look like Julian Edelman. He looked like a little bit of a shell of himself last year. So to me, you've got a so-so group in New England, just from what you've told me. And you've got Cam Newton, who has to be controlled. You have to keep the reins on him. So if that doesn't work out, Jared, what is it? Stidham's going to be in there as your quarterback week 6, 7, because Cam Newton will either have hurt himself trying to do too much because he can't get it to his guys, or Bill Belichick will have benched him.
That's interesting. Let me just take time to say, everybody just need to quit drinking soda, because this goddamn lemon water is fantastic, boy. I'm infusing. Hold on. This shit's goddamn delicious. So that's just that. But off cam for a second, but I do want to get into New England's like team building philosophy or whatever before we move on to the next topic. Because first of all, I don't think New England can draft very well at all. I think they're pretty bad at it. But do you think they drafted anticipating a tank move? Because in my mind, Cam is the only player that's separating this thing from New England could get Trevor Lawrence to New England could be a team with a winning record or whatever. So in my mind, I feel like if they were competing to go to the playoffs, they probably would have drafted a receiver in this, in this draft full of draftable receivers. You know what I mean? But they didn't. So now Cam's here, and they didn't have any receiver options besides the guys that they have or whatever. Like, did you think they was tanking prior to getting Cam or whatever? And if they thought that they weren't, they would have drafted a receiver, something like that.
Well, this obviously looks like a 1-year fix, just from my point of view. This looks like a, hey, Cam, if you can give us something, or if Stidham can give us something for just a short-term option, then there's a potential of winning about 11 games this year. But if they don't give you what you're looking for, then you'll probably just throw in Stidham or a third stringer, keep Cam for one more year, depending on where your draft pick is going to be, where you are in the quote unquote lottery, and use all of your picks and whatnot to make sure that you're the number one pick in 2021 when Trevor Lawrence comes out. Because I mean, not saying that Trevor Lawrence is the god of quarterbacks in here, but just looking kind of into the future, I've already done a couple of research topics on some of these quarterbacks that are coming out in 2021, and there's 5 current quarterbacks that could be in the first round and all be starters.
Because you're a Clemson fan. That's why you know.
No. There's 5 guys. Take Trevor Lawrence out of the equation. There's 4 starting caliber guys that can start right away, quarterbacks in 2021, and I think the New England Patriots are in the prime spot, especially if Cam Newton Stidham can't get it done, to have a guy that pops out like a Tom Brady or a Bledsoe that can start giving you wins now and give you a reach for the future. But of those guys, you still have to be in the draft spot to be able to get it.
So there's the top 3 guys, because I do trust your draft research. There's only a handful of people I trust. Like there's Foots, then there's a 16-year-old, and like then there's Dan, right? Or like Nick is like 17, and then there's Dan. So I trust your draft acumen or whatever. So besides the top 3 guys, right? My South Carolina kid is not in that top 5 list, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay, cool. My Georgia ain't got a kid that's in the top 5 list, right?
Mm-mm.
Or my Penn State guy, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so help inform us. So you got Trev, then you got Fields, then you got Lance. So like, who else?
So there is currently right now the quarterback from Stanford who just went on to, I believe it's Vanderbilt that he just went on to, or Ole Miss that he just went to. Was that AJ Costello, if I remember correctly? He was getting a lot of hype actually out of Stanford and was doing really well. And I cannot remember the reason why he actually transferred out of Stanford and went on to, I believe it was an SEC team.
Drugs.
I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on with Mr. Costello. But the acumen is there as a quarterback. Mm-hmm. He has the arm strength. He has the accuracy. He is definitely a student of the game and works really hard inside of the locker room with his teammates. And he's a film study guy that works really hard on that. I don't think that he is a finished product by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that he's by far one of the better quarterbacks that's in this class, and the hype is definitely there. Mm-hmm. I mean, without question, he can definitely be a starting caliber quarterback in the next setup. And then this is just my personal take right now, mm-hmm. but there is a gentleman out of Pittsburgh right now. And yes, I know Nathan Peterman 2.0. Everybody's going to immediately start talking about it. Yeah, Nathan Peterman 2.0. But I've just been taking just a glance. I haven't really gotten any major film study on him, but just from a quick glance, I think this kid out of Pitt is throwing the ball as well as anybody out there. And he's coming from a pro style offense, mm-hmm. and he has familiarity with the systems that will most likely be utilized in the NFL, and he's got accuracy. He doesn't have the greatest arm strength, but neither did Tom Brady or some of the greats that were out there. I mean, Phillip Rivers had arm strength when he got into the NFL, but he wasn't slinging 90-yard bombs or anything in college. He was making throws, but again, I think there's those two guys, and then there's actually a plethora of guys that are going to be in the second round that could be stolen and honestly, stacked onto rosters and given opportunities. But I the way that I looked at it, Voch, was 2021, get your quarterback. 2022, 2023, and I've even gone as far as to just peak at 2024.
See, that's too far for me.
Of the quarterbacks that could be available, or quarterbacks that we will begin to hype up after these quarterbacks leave from this next draft class, it's not looking pretty, dude.
There's a lot of good.
You know how you only find one really great quarterback in a draft, and then there's everybody else? Or usually you find two guys that are battling for the number one spot to be drafted first, and then there's everybody else. There's about 5 guys, burgers and fries right now, that are in this draft class coming up that could be drafted in the first round and all give you production. And then after that, there's a whole host of guys that all have acumen and arm talent and IQ to be at least backups in this next league. 22, 23, 24, those years, not a very good set of quarterbacks. And I would be surprised if we even see one talented guy come out at all.
5 guys, burgers and fries. So basically, after like Bo Nix and them, it's getting a little spooky. Because you better than me, because you up here saying these names. I haven't done my research yet. I'll do this shit till January, February.
And thank you to Prospect Watcher for going out there. Kenny Pickett is the QB from Pitt.
I guess.
And great arm talent. He's got a great arm talent already in the pro system. Looks like the kind of guy that the Patriots would snatch up and throw around. But that's what we said about Stidham too. So you never know what they're gonna do.
I guess play up. Wait till we get to February. I'm gonna have this full-blown conversation with you. Let's move on though. I don't even know how we got on that topic though. Football with COVID. You think we're gonna have a full-blown season this year, Lieutenant Dan?
If the MLS and MLB and NBA UFC and NHL are all struggling just to get off, just play games and do them in a proper time and manner, trying to keep the whole COVID thing under wraps and try to do the right things for the players and for the viewers and the fans, then I can't imagine the NFL getting 16 games off and a playoff and a Super Bowl. And I've said this before, and I know this would piss off every fan, but it's probably the right thing to do, because we need to start looking at the right thing to do, not what we want, but what we need. And what we need is a 32-team tournament. We need to have all 32 teams playing in a tournament, single elimination, 7 weeks maximum, crown your Super Bowl champion, and get on to keeping everybody healthy, keeping everybody safe, and go on to draft time by November, December.
So
just get it going.
So UFC is having an event tonight, and they've been having events for the past few, months or whatever, and they just kind of isolate their people. And I think that's a good way to get it off. Now, I think baseline, these seasons are going to happen. It's just that they're trying to figure out how to have fans, because that's where like money gets involved. But I don't think they want to, miss out on those TV deals or whatever. But my whole thing is, if you keep everybody isolated and keep everybody tested, nobody will catch COVID, because everybody's tested and everybody's isolated. They flew all these damn UFC fighters on these cars, and they trainers, and they cafeteria ladies, and they janitors. They tested them and just flew their ass to an island in Russia.
All right, so now double or triple that number that you have for every single team
do what you gotta do.
of fighters and coaches and their group.
Sure.
Now double or triple that number for an NFL squad, which is you're going to see what? You're going to see like 30 peeps go to a game. That's just players. Mm-hmm. And then you got staff, coaches, owner, family members. Yeah. You've got all these extras that are going to there, ball boys, physical therapy peeps, doctors. And you're going to tell me that we can make it through 17 weeks of football, probably another 4 weeks of playoffs and a Super Bowl, and still keep everybody healthy, and you're still going to have all your star players, and you're still going to have everybody there. It's more of a shot in the dark, a hope that the dart lands on the dartboard with a blindfold on, than it is the actual reality. Because the reality of the situation is, if you really want to keep everybody safe, you really want to do it the right way, limit the contact, limit the amount of games you have to play. I know that pisses everybody off, but it's the right thing to do.
I think
it really is just the right thing to do.
I think in a multi-billion-dollar industry, I don't think that they feel like they have the luxury to sit this one out. And basically it's coming down to paying for the test, right? Like, if you can afford to test multiple people multiple times a day for multiple weeks, then I think that it can be pulled off. I just think this is where it gets weird, Dan. This is where it gets weird. Like, these goofy ass people in real life that think COVID fake, or they think that it's some government thing, or they think that the Illuminati sent COVID. It's them goofy ass people. That's what make it weird. You know what I mean? Like, if it was just an isolated situation, Dan, I'm sure it'll go off without a hitch. So when I saw Jacksonville say, "Oh yeah, we gonna have fans, but just 25%," no, because that gives you an opportunity to let a knucklehead in that may have COVID, that don't believe in wearing masks, that could possibly mess up your situation, mess up your product. You just got to take the L on fans this year. In my personal opinion, you just gotta say, look, no fans this year. We just gonna have to figure this thing out next year. We just gonna have to push this thing back to 21 in terms of fans. But I don't need fans to enjoy football. You know what I'm saying? I can watch football silently. You can put a microphone on Phillip Rivers and listen to him trash talk if you want to. I don't care what you do. It's just that when you bring the extra stimulus in, that's what makes it weird. But if it's just players and trainers and coaches or whatever, just isolate them. You'll be all right.
I think that is it's such a, I don't want to say small-minded, because it's not small-minded, because you're right. If you just keep everybody safe and healthy and in the right places, that you should, in theory, be able to keep everybody from getting any COVID.
The shit may not be humane to where we're putting this billion-dollar industry over
at that point, you're talking about real slave work, because you're literally actually keeping everybody in their houses. You're locking them away until they have to come out and come and play. And then when they come and play, then they got to go through screening. So that takes an hour or two for them to be able to figure out that process. And then if somebody has COVID, do they even play the game? Because how many other people have they come into contact with? Were they around those people when they had COVID? Do they have COVID and they got over it, and now all the other players are okay, but that COVID cell is in their body now? You don't know, so you run too many risks. So limit the amount of contact, limit the amount of people that are there. No fans, take the L like you're saying, but also limit the games. The MLS is doing it right now. They just took half their season, cut it in half, decided to do a tournament. We play the tournament, and we give the points out to the teams. 3 for a win, 1 for a draw, 0 for a loss, and that goes towards the season. And then we play a small season, 15,
soccer,
maybe not even 10 games.
But that's soccer, Dan. We talking about football.
That only has 16 games, so we should cut that in half to 8, or we should have a tournament-style system that keeps everybody safe. And that would also make the draft process much quicker, because then when you're eliminated from the tournament, you automatically know your position in the draft order. It becomes, the logistics need to be thought about, not the emotions, because I can get riled up because I want to be at the games. I want them to be playing. I want fans to be there. But the logistics of it is, you got to have safety.
Look, trust me. Like, I made a revelation about football games last year going to them. I'm like, man, this shit all right. I can afford to go to games. I planned on going like 3 Cowboy games this year and 1 out of state, 1 out of Texas game. Trust me, I understand. But if you got to take the L to have football, you got to take the L. I'm not an extremist. You know what I'm saying? If you look at me and say, well, Voch, I know you really want to go to these games, man. We could risk not
sign
having
a waiver and get you in there, and you could be in there with a mask on, but you'd have to be 6 feet away from the next fan. And, okay,
If you look at me and say, Voch, we could risk the season, but you could go to a game. I believe I got enough sense to say, no, I don't want to risk the season. I'll just watch from my TV at home. The problem is these I Am Legend ass monsters in real life. They ass will go, I will risk the season just to be able to watch one goofy ass game in real life. That's the problem. And we gonna move on from that though. But come on, son. Like we don't need fans this year. And I think it's corny to try to manufacture fan noise. We're gonna put this big ass speaker next to the shit.
Y'all know that we got in trouble.
Play
Falcons got in trouble only a few years back for pumping crowd noise in there because our fans were not cheering because they didn't like the situation and they were all upset about da 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 boom boom boom. But really? Now you're going to turn around and tell us that it's okay to pump crowd noise in there just because there ain't any fans in there? Like, how about just let's put on some rap music or put on some great house and beats or whatnot. I don't know. Just put on some rock or blare it through the speakers in the stadium. Something enjoyable to listen to, and play the damn games.
Or just take the L in this weird ass season and play silent ass football. Damn, people do too much. We're gonna move on though. Dan, I do want to ask you a question. Like, have you ever said da 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 boom 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 prior to having black friends? Because I just heard you say da 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 boom boom boom.
No, that's when I actually met you.
Okay, fair enough.
Actually, yeah. When I met you, that's when da 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 boom 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 came out.
I kind of want to do this case study.
Because I used to go like da da da, just that, but not the boom 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 at the end.
I kind of want to do this this case study on how I affect people around me. Nick Gashler is a 16-year-old white kid, never been around me before, but he watched my show and he says things like this goofy ass COVID now. And I feel like Nick Gashler never used to say things like that until he started listening to me call shit goofy ass. You know what I mean? So I hope I'm not influencing people the wrong way with da 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 boom boom booms and my miscellaneous Natchez slang, my Natchez Mississippi slang. You know what I mean?
How about this is just a thought. I'm probably gonna get a lot of flack for this, but how about every single game?
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it if you get
no,
flack.
no, I want the controversy. Okay, let's go. Let's do it.
Well, let me drink my water. Go ahead.
But let's play NWA in every single stadium for the first week.
Which song in particular?
You know which song.
Yeah, that's a mess right there. We're gonna move on though.
Yeah.
We're gonna move on though. What else we had to talk about? Draft. All right, cool. We haven't talked about draft since draft happened. Cowboys got Sedarian Lamb.
I can't believe you called that nonsense. Hey, I actually cannot believe that weeks before.
What you want me to say?
No, months before.
What you want me to say?
Months before.
What you want me to do? What you want me to do? Hold on, Dan.
You called that nonsense.
Time out, Dan. Let me just hit this. What you want me to say, bro?
But I will say this. That you guys got probably one of the most explosive wide receivers.
What happened?
And I think that's going to be a huge team up with Amari Cooper. I think that's
go ahead. Hey, what happened? Yeah. What else?
No, I'm just giving you props where props are due. You called it. You called it, and you know, and it's going to work. It's going to work as long as Dak throws the ball. But you know, that's just my opinion.
All right, then we're gonna move on. But
little jab, it's the little one.
But real life though, real life convo here. Let's because some weird shit did happen during the draft, and you're one of my draft cohorts or whatnot. We just kind of gonna get to the Falcons a little bit. Let me just say this though, on your side of things, AJ Terrell is not a terrible player. No. I think AJ Terrell is a really good player.
Yeah.
I just didn't foresee him going 16. That's my thing about that. So what do you have on that, Dan?
The way that I look at AJ Terrell and how he plays football reminds me very much of, say, like an Asante Samuel. Mm. And I'm not comparing Asante Samuel and AJ Terrell. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the archetype is similar to where a guy that can cover short, when asked to do certain things and not veer off from it, he's a very good corner. Taking him that early, though, seems like the value's not there, but I see the justification. Mm-hmm. Because you let Desmond Trufant go, you're most likely switching up your style of corner play with Raheem Morris now as your DB coach and your defensive coordinator. So I see why AJ Terrell was taken there, but I wouldn't have personally done it as a Clemson fan and as somebody analyzes Clemson players. It was a bit of a reach for me. This is actually the one that I do agree about, a reach with Voch, because I believe that, you know, you don't take AJ Terrell in this spot, but you do take Keanu Neal in the spot before because of the situation. You know, like we can bark at each other until the cows come home about Keanu Neal and whether or not you should have been taken at 18.
Sure.
But taking AJ Terrell here, I think we both agree that this is a little bit of a reach for a guy that, yeah, he fits what you're trying to do, but there were other people on the board that could have filled other needs. Now,
would have felt better about Chason and maybe getting a guy like Fulton in the second round?
No, not necessarily.
You
because of the way that
Chason.
they built their defensive ends through free agency.
Gotcha. Kind
of sent the message early on that defensive end and defensive tackle were secondary thoughts at that point. So as much as I wanted them to go out and go get, you know, one of the better defensive ends or defensive tackles, or go get AJ Epineza or something like that.
Yeah.
It was probably the right call to take a corner, and it was probably a right call to take AJ because of the type of player he is and the type of leader he is. I mean, we're talking about maybe not even a year removed, a little more than a year removed now, but at the time, not even a year removed of him dominating Alabama. And then turning around and taking on LSU, who was just unstoppable. There's no way to stop that when they have all the cards and they have all the pieces, and they were the team to beat. They really were. So, and that, by the way, that's not me reeling back and being like, oh, there was no way that AJ Terrell was going to look good. AJ Terrell looked okay in spots in that game, but he got beat up. He got beat up by a better player.
I think really a lot of people are kind of skittish on AJ Terrell because Jamar Chase kicked his ass, but Jamar Chase kicked everybody's ass last year.
That's true.
Everybody. So but you know, you just kind of, that's why we don't watch highlights here. We just gotta, you know, we gotta dig a little more and watch the film.
Yeah, that's why we sit here for hours on end and we grind.
Let me ask you this.
We grind film.
About draft philosophy, right? There seems to be this There seems to be this disparity between what the underground sees and what the experts, and I'm air quoting the shit out of expert, right? Like, it seems like everybody was saying AJ Terrell's probably not a first round guy. He's not terrible, but he's not a first round guy. But if you look at Oakland, Atlanta, Dallas was also one of those teams. I think Jacksonville was also a team that considered AJ Terrell to be a first round guy. However, underground guys like me, you know, and others or whatever, AJ Epineza, I'll take him in the first round. You know what I'm saying? I'll take this guy, that guy. But Fulton in the first round. But those guys didn't go until day 2. So what's the disparity between the underground and these air quote ass experts or whatever? What are they seeing? What's the consensus that they're seeing that we not seeing? Because we be right most of the time. We for the most part, the underground get this shit right and they're wrong, but they're all seeing it. They're all wrong seeing the same shit, and we're right seeing the same shit. So what do you think the difference is?
I think the difference is, you know, the quote unquote, you know, analysts and national media, you know, leaders of film watching and so on and so forth, and the big companies are looking inside a car through the driver's door. They've opened the driver's door and they're looking in there and they see everything. And we, the third party people, are opening up the backseat passenger door and saying, we see the inside of the car too. Mm-hmm. What's different? Mm-hmm. Like we understand this. So there's
are you saying
there's not one way
are
to
you
get into
saying
the car.
Hold on, Dan, because you might be on some shit. Are you saying that we see more of the car because we in the back seat, we can see the back and the front, but they can only see the front because they're in the front seat of the car? Is that what you're saying?
They have a quote unquote rear view mirror, which is looking at our content, and they look at that rear view mirror and go, you know, we've made it. We're big time. We're good. We're up here, and we can, you know, control the radio. We can do whatever we want. Most cars nowadays have Bluetooth, so I can change the radio too.
Yeah.
I can see the same film that you see.
Yeah.
Just because you paid a little extra more, you have privileges from, certain lettered networks that you can look at all 22 film doesn't mean that I can't find somebody that'll let me look at all 22 film or find a way to be able to access it. So it's the difference between them and us. If you want to put us in one group and them, a bunch of different companies with all kinds of different ideas and archetypes and reasoning why they're doing what they're doing. If you want to put them in groups, then that group has money and this group has the people. And so I just want to segue that real quick and say there's 160 people watching right now. And y'all watch Voch Lombardi every single time he goes live. Y'all come over to my channel and you guys take a look at my stuff, and I greatly appreciate it. Y'all are the reason why there's a difference and why people say that they don't like the lettered networks and what they're saying because it's a tired narrative. We don't do that here. We come out and we say exactly what it is. So that being said, thank you to the fans and the people that are out there because y'all the difference makers. There's money over there, but that's gifted by the company. We aren't gifted anything. We don't have time. We've got to be right or not at all. They get leverage. They get room to be able to go, I can backpedal. They can be Stephen A. Smith and say 25 things wrong, but they still get their paycheck at the end of the day.
Lieutenant Dan. I know fire when I see it. Sir. And you're absolutely right. You basically said, long story short, they ain't shit. Basically, you said, and that the people should come consume this YouTube comments, this YouTube commentary is that's basically what you said. You said they ain't shit. I ain't said that. You said it. I digress though. It was a lot of weird shit that happened in that draft, man. I got into a bunch of arguments with Raiders fans because they think I'd be hating on them. I don't hate on the Raiders. I just don't think they could draft well, and they typically don't. And I don't think that they drafted well this time, I think the Dolphins had a lot of picks that they could have done some legendary shit with, but they don't draft well to me, and they didn't. They got a couple picks right, but they don't for the most part. So I don't know, man. I just saw the difference. The difference in how we mock and how they actually draft. I just noticed it, and it's whatever. How long do you think Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback in Green Bay?
How many pairs of crutches are they going to go through?
Relax. I just asked you a question, sir. I asked you a question pertaining to
Aaron Rodgers. I'd probably give him about 3 more years, maybe about 3 more years in Green Bay, and that's partly because Aaron Rodgers is the only reason that Green Bay is the way they are. It's not Matt LaFleur that's keeping them afloat, because obviously he's borrowing stuff from a certain coach who just joined the Dallas Cowboys and about to show the world why the Dallas Cowboys are going to be fired.
Hold on, Dan. You can't move on that shit. Wait a minute. I can't find my drops. Closed them. I closed my sound drops. Oh, no. Wait a minute. That shit you just said about the Cowboys, man. I can't wait to set my soundboard up. Hold on. Go ahead, Dan.
I look at the coaching situation in Green Bay and I go, they're doing nothing different that their former coach in McCarthy did. And what he most likely has sat down and said, I know the things that work. I know the things that didn't work. And now I've got an opportunity to look at the NFL for what it is and go, there will probably be some new things that I'll bring to the table. But more or less, you know what the Cowboys have needed since day one? And please, by all means, Voch, by all means, if I say something out of turn.
Let me get my shit ready. Come on. Go ahead. Tell them.
Go ahead.
Tell them.
Click.
Talk to them. Let them know. What they missing?
But you just need organization. There's nothing wrong with the talent on that team.
Go ahead.
There's nothing wrong with the talent on the Dallas Cowboys. There's no dysfunctional nothing. All the talent there at quarterback, all the talent at running back, all the talent on the offensive line. You guys got, defensive players for days. You just had a fantastic draft. You got weapons. You just need organization. You need leadership. And I'm not talking about guys stepping up and saying, hey, we got to do things. No, you just needed a coaching staff to go, hey, this is the way we're going to do things. This is the plan. This is just all we needed to do to be able to be more successful in the NFC East. And honestly, I think that McCarthy's going to come in there and he's just going to set it up the way that it needs to be set up. Just organize, run the ball correctly, throw the ball correctly, less risks, more first downs, more easy plays, moving the chains. The Dallas Cowboys are going to look like a different team. It's not the team that you guys think that's going to happen. Like they're going to be blowing the top off of people. CeeDee Lamb is going to be sneaky over the middle of the field. Amari Cooper is going to be dangerous in the red zone. And that defense, as long as Mike McCarthy has some semblance of an idea of what he wants to do with that defense, then I think that this team will come out and be not bend, don't break, but something similar to that effect, that they just capitalize on your turnovers and they stop you from getting first.
We say this shit all the time. We say this shit all the time.
That's all you're going to do. And you know what's really funny is that you guys say this all the time, and this is the first time that like I've heard you say this all the time, because I've checked a couple of your videos out, and I have not taken anything away from your videos. This is my own conclusion.
Dan's not a Cowboy fan. Dan,
all on my own.
Dan,
the Cowboys
busy.
aren't a bad team.
Dan been busy.
They just need leadership.
Boy, Lieutenant Dan, I tell you what. I'm not gonna say nothing, but do you think that the Dallas Cowboys are a SBC? I don't want to say it because I jinx it, but do you think that they are a SBC?
I think they are a PPT. I think that they have the opportunity to win upwards of 11 games or more.
PPT. What's What's that?
Potential playoff team.
Potential playoff team?
I think they have, if they can get their ducks in a row, because it doesn't just you come out of the gates and start punching people in the mouth. You've got to learn the system. You got to have, especially in this climate right now, you've got to make sure everybody's safe and secure. And you've got to be able to understand it and execute it, because it won't be on McCarthy once he goes, this is the plan. Now execute that plan. Now it's on the players to execute that plan. So I look for the next step for the Cowboys, not to be thinking about playoffs or things above that, about week one. Week one, execute football the way Mike McCarthy wants you to execute it, and you're going to win that game. Week two, if you do what Mike McCarthy asks you to do, you're going to win that game. So just execute and showcase the talent you already have. You're going to win games. And you can win upwards of 11 or 12 or more. But think small first. Execute. And you're going to be just fine. You're going to be just fine. There's not a lot of teams in the NFL, especially in the NFC, that I have so much confidence in of just being okay. They're fine. They're not in a place of potential rebuild, or the team's going to blow up if something doesn't happen. This team is the most capable team to be able to go to the playoffs, and then potentially go even further if they so desire it, and that's up to them.
Get off the phone.
Dan, I thought you was going to listen. I ain't trying to hit that. We going to the Super Bowl, baby. Listen, man. Listen. I ain't trying to hear all that potential playoff content. I ain't trying to hear that nonsense, Lieutenant Dan. We going to the bowl to take the COVID bowl, baby. The COVID bowl. This shit. We taking that. Let me hit my button one more. Yeah, wrong with you, dog. Anyway, Lieutenant Dan, I wasn't having it, my guy. I wasn't having your let's take it slow optimism. I wasn't here for that today. But Lieutenant Dan, this was a fantastic show, man. It's always fun to chop it up with you, my guy. Tell the good people where they can find you at and what you're working on.
You can find me at UNGR_show on Twitter and Instagram. Hey man, we're on the drive for 5 right now, and I need all the peeps in the chat to listen to me. If you want to support my channel, especially in this very, very tough time, and you want to continue to hear more stuff, you want me to continue to come back to Voch's show and continue to talk ball and continue to spit facts and continue to give you guys quality content that you guys are looking for, especially since we know the letter networks don't really care what our opinion is, then go over to my channel, Unintentional Grounding. Go hit that like button. Go hit the subscribe button. Go hit the notification bell. why don't you, if you feel so generous, go and join the Unintentional Grounding Premier Program and be able to monthly donate to the channel and keep me afloat. We are driving to 5,000 subscribers. I know Voch is already 50, 60. He's getting closer and closer every day to 100,000. But if you would like to come over and hear some of my takes on NFL draft, Falcons football, NFC South, college football breakdowns, then come all over to Unintentional Grounding on YouTube or on Twitch and hit that subscribe button and join our community and come and support our channel. We're currently working on, right at this very moment, we're in summer break mode. I'm moving right now, so I'm a little preoccupied. But I have a QB rankings coming out in the next couple of weeks. And that QB rankings is going to rank every single quarterback that is going to be a potential starter. And those that have not been confirmed as potential starters will also be on that list as well. And I'm going to rank every single quarterback, elite to good to great to okay to bottom of the barrel. And come over and come and say hi.
So I don't want you to reveal that list because we want everybody to go over there and take a look at it. I'm gonna go myself. I just have a question. Do you have Joe Burrow ranked over?
Joe Burrow is not in the current rankings because I do not rank rookies.
Well, how the hell you gonna rank potential starters and you ain't ranking rookies, man? Joe Burrow's the best college quarterback of all time.
Doesn't mean that he's one of the greatest NFL players. Doesn't mean that he should deserve a ranking if I haven't even seen him yet. So, yeah.
Joe Burrow gonna be better than Sam Darnold this year. I'm saying it. Hey, y'all, I appreciate it, man. I salute everybody that came through, man, holding it down for me and all that good stuff, bro. If you came in late, you need to rewind this thing, click and play it again. Man, look, my weight music so fire, dog. Hey, listen, hold on. My weight music. Listen, bro, my weight music pretty fire, man. But anyway, that's Lieutenant Dan over there. You find him at Unintentional Grounding. Is on the screen right there because that's, my new little setup that we got right there. So y'all go hit that. I'm Voch Lombardi everywhere, VOCHLOMBARDI. You already subbed to me, but y'all should hit the bell so that y'all know when I drop random ass film session live streams in the middle of the week just like this. In terms of Cowboy Land, we're going to do a Dontari Poe film session next. I think that's going to be an interesting one. And until then, man, y'all hold it down for the Doski Woski. The Peasky Whiskey is free. It's implied. It don't cost no money. Peace, y'all.